they're all mad. All that generation of British actor is all insane. I worked with Tom Baker once, who was the fourth Doctor Who. The Doctor Who. My childhood hero. I wrote a video game, and I wrote a narration for the video game. I convinced the company to hire Tom Baker to voice the narration I'd written. And we leased a studio in BBC Broadcasting House for a morning, and I went up to help supervise the recording. Now, we had problems getting hold of it. There was, funnily enough, a lot of swearing in the script. It's most unlike me, as I'm sure you'll all agree. And his agents were with these two little old ladies in Primrose Hill who said things like, "We don't know if Thomas will want to do this. He has a lot of bad words. Thomas doesn't like bad words." I get there 5 minutes late. Julian, the producer, has just gone around the room asking if he can get people tea or coffee or whatever, and has just said, "Is there anything I can do for you, Tom?" I opened the door of the recording studio to hear Doctor Who bellow at the top of his lungs. "Lord Fucker-Duck, are you propositioning me, you little bastard?" "I like this script, Warren. I enjoy horror. I enjoy horror because, you see, I'm married." Stark, staring there. After I do this, I have to do a voiceover for a furniture advert. Luckily, I can make Whippet shit sound like the Old Testament. Mad as ourselves, Doctor Who.
Earlier you were speaking of passion in writing. What do you think is your most passionate piece that you've written up to date?
Parts of Transmet. There are a lot of true stories in Transmet hidden in there. You can laugh, but it's mostly the really sad ones. And possibly Scars, if you've ever read Scars. It's probably the only book I've written that genuinely disturbed me from start to finish. It was actually quite hard to write. A lot of people don't understand, but what I find is the people who don't have kids are the ones who don't really get how disturbing a book that is. And if you've got kids, it's actually quite hard to read, I've been told. But yeah, there was a lot of that in Transmet because there was the space to do it in Transmet. I remember Garth Ennis and I were talking when he was developing Preacher. And I was starting to have the ideas that turned into Transmet. We wanted to write things that had the space to become our own little theatre, where it wouldn't disturb the flow of the overall plot lines if we were to stop and just write about what we were interested in that month. Because Transmet was such a cathartic book, it was a way to work out a lot of anger and disgust at things. That's probably where you'll find a lot of the really, really more intense stuff, I think. Yeah?
Why do you like writing about cities?
2/3 of the world lives in one. It's the easy answer. I love cities, but I also want to write about the way we live, and 2/3 of us are in cities, so I think it's worth examining how they work on us, if that makes sense.
A while ago, I heard a story that you were going to write a book about Vikings landing on Japanese coast.
Yeah. Could never get the funding. Everyone loved it, no one actually wanted to pay for me. Yeah, I just put a bucket out front here. Yeah, everyone loved it, no one actually wanted to pay for me to write it. It'd be hard to do an Avatar because it's got to be a graphic novel, and Avatar aren't really capitalised and don't have the deep distribution required to make an original graphic novel work yet. It might be different in a couple of years. Yeah?
Which leads me to the next question. Avatar, is that like just a secondary publisher for you, or?
No, I genuinely enjoy the work I do at Avatar. I can do small experimental things there that I wouldn't be able to do in other places. And I get paid for it. Unlike most black and white indie publishers, they do have a certain amount of capitalisation. They don't quite pay me my going rate, but they pay well and they pay on time. Your follow-up's follow-up. Go on. Listen, get it over with, man. Get it off your chest, damn it.
Like books like Transmetropolitan and stuff like that, I very much enjoy, but some of the Avatar stuff, it just seems...
Well, it's very different stuff. There's no law that says you have to like everything I write. You know? I do a lot of different stuff. It's got a lot of tonal differences. It's different genres. If Transmate is what you really like, then a lot of the Avatar stuff is going to come across as very short and very simple.
Does Avatar just give you more creative range?
They give you total creative range.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, total.
Keep things a little more current. What do you think about when you write Nextwave?
Oh yeah, sure. If you want to see me in all my glory. I'm keeping my clothes on, I don't care. Oh God. Nextwave. I mean, you've read the book. Yeah, quite clearly I'm not thinking about anything. Quite obviously, I have just switched off the front of my brain and I'm just spewing utter fucking gibberish onto the screen and I'm making the poor bloody artist draw it. You know, they showed it to the publisher at Marvel and he didn't know whether to laugh or cry. I think I took 10 years of Dan Buckley's life. Nextwave is absolute, or it is as close to an absolute distillation of the superhero genre as I can manage that day. Which is why there are no plot lines, there are no characters, no personalities, no emotions, and in fact nothing of worth whatsoever. It is simply the best bits of the superhero genre. It is explosions. It is people getting kicked. It is people getting kicked and then exploding. It is people standing in the street posing for no good reason. It is dialogue that with the best will in the world makes no sense whatsoever. It is in fact quite perfect. It is pure. I have written a pure comic book. And I will fight anyone who says otherwise. And afterwards, they will explode.